You are tuned into a special player spotlight interview on the CS Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the CS Podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first. Since 2002, visit NFLDraftBible.com. As always, I'm your guys' host, Chris Shanafelt, and joining the show now is the newest member of the Southern Illinois Salukis football team. He spent his first few years in the Division II level at Stillman College. He's a quarterback, Josh Straughan, and how does it feel to be a Saluki, Josh?
It feels good. I just got up here yesterday. Actually was able to go on the field and throw a little bit with some of the receivers today. So it's feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Carbondale, Illinois, you got to love it. Now, before we talk about making the decision to commit to Southern Illinois, to attend Southern Illinois, I want those who may not be too familiar with you know a little bit more about you. So with that said, I mean, doing some research and taking a look all the way back to your high school days, Josh, I mean, you really had a stellar high school career at Colton High School, located in Colton, Washington. You put up, and I seen the article said this as well, you put up video game-like numbers by throwing for over 10,000 yards, 141 touchdowns, and you're also able to run for over 1,200 more yards. You're named the Washington State Player of the Year. I got to say, I'm surprised the colleges there in Washington let you get away. Tell us about the whole recruiting process coming out of high school and how you landed at Stillman College.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a real small town, and I was real lucky. I was able to throw a lot in high school. I had a little brother who was a pretty good receiver who I threw a lot to. My senior year, he had a lot of catches, a lot of receiving yards. So a lot of the schools, you know, a lot of the bigger schools, they wanted preferred walk-ons. So I had a couple HBCU, FCS schools offer me. Jackson State offered, and so did Alcorn State. And I visited them, and Stillman was kind of on the way down in Tuscaloosa, right down around Mississippi, where those other schools offered me. So I visited there, and they offered, and they wanted me to come in and play, play all 4 years, which is something that I wanted to do. You know, I was a small town kid. I played 3 sports. I started in all 3, and I really wanted to play because I knew if I could play, I could succeed at that level, at the Division II level. So that's kind of where I went from there. And then after that, so I started my true freshman year to junior year, and I graduated and I decided to come up to SIU.
And you know what, Josh, you had quite the story to tell, or you have quite the story to tell, I should say, about your college career, how it kicked off. I mean, as a true freshman, you said you were able to play right away, but in that first game, you were actually on the bench, and Coach Teddy Keaton looked at you to come off the bench as you guys were trailing Central State 20-7 in the fourth quarter, and you went in and you threw for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns, and you led Stillman to a 28-27 victory. I mean, I can't think that you could have asked for really a better start to your collegiate career.
Yeah, no, it was kind of storybook. It was a fun game. I still remember it. I came in the fourth quarter, and I'm a gunslinger. I love throwing the football. I'm not really afraid of anything, so I just went in there, did what they asked me, made some good plays. And I was a true freshman, so I'm just going in there, having fun and playing. And I've been around the block though, as far as situation wise and everything. I do have quite the story.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, I guess from there, I mean, talk about your leadership qualities if you could. I mean, everybody looks at every football team's quarterback and thinks that they should be the leader. I mean, as a true freshman, how did you carry that leadership role? I mean, having juniors and seniors look up to you. How were you able to do it?
Well, I mean, I think first off, that game helped a lot. Obviously leadership is first and foremost. You gotta get people's respect by your actions. So everyone on the team knew I was a hard worker, and I was about football, and I love football. And that's kind of where it started. After that, then I got to take more of a vocal role, which is what I did. And these guys listened to me. I had a really good senior playmaker receiver, Damian Ford. He was a transfer from LSU. He went and played in the CFL for a little bit. So I had him, to kind of show me the ropes a little bit. And then after that, I just kind of just developed it. I was responsible for a lot at Stillman College. I had to do a lot of stuff that maybe I wouldn't have had to do at a bigger university or anything. So it was fun. It was really good for me, leadership wise. And I think it really improved my leadership skills. And I always thought I was a pretty good leader in high school. So.
Yeah, and from there, I mean, you haven't really looked back. I mean, you've been playing ever since. But of course, this past season, if I'm not mistaken, you did miss this entire last season with an injury. Can you just give us a little bit more info as to what the injury was and how it's coming along nowadays?
Yeah, it was a minor labrum surgery. I got really lucky with my orthopedic surgeon. I had Drew Brees, his orthopedic surgeon at the Andrews Institute. Dr. Lau Kane did my surgery. It was, I'm 100% now, obviously, or else SIU wouldn't have offered me and I wouldn't be here. So it's good. It feels good. Like I said, I've been throwing for a while now. I threw today in about 20-degree weather, so it's feeling good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, great to hear. Definitely great to hear. And, last time you did play in 2014, looking at the stats, looking at some of your film that you have on the internet here, you threw for over 2,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and you added 3 more touchdowns on the run. Now, I do want to ask you about 2 games that you played back-to-back about midway through that 2014 season. I'm sure you probably know those 2 that I'm already going to single out. The first one was against Lane, where you completed 63% of your passes and threw for just under 300 yards, 6 touchdowns. You also had a rushing touchdown, so that's 7 total touchdowns for you in that 55-16 Week 5 victory. And then the following week against Benedict College, you were able to complete about 68% of your passes, and you threw for 488 yards and 6 touchdowns in Stillman's 48-36 win over Benedict College. So 13 total touchdowns in 2 games. I mean, where does that stretch of 2 games rank in your list of memories there at Stillman College?
Those are 2 fun games. I kind of always been a person who, they were towards the end of the season. I kind of feel like I was really catching my groove there. It was fun. I didn't think my junior year, we really didn't throw the football, all that much. We were probably about 60-40 or 55-45 as far as pass run ratio. Because we felt like we needed to establish a run, which I think we did. But those games were fun. I had some good playmakers. I was getting it to them, and we were rolling.
Again, he's Josh Straughan, the Southern Illinois Salukis quarterback, formerly of Stillman College, joining me here on the CS podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com, and I think that Josh Straughan could certainly be a name that you guys could be on the lookout for, certainly as a senior there at Southern Illinois, and then, of course, hopefully there in the draft process as well. SIU actually has a quarterback going through the draft process in Mark Ionati, who just wrapped up a pretty impressive season there. Anyways, Josh, I almost forgot to bring this up, but, one of the obvious reasons why you're leaving Stillman College is because they decided to drop their football program and all the other sports teams, except for the basketball team for that matter. What was your reaction when you first found that news out?
Well, the thing Stillman doesn't have a graduate program anyway, so I was graduating. So before before I knew about that, I wasn't going to come back.
Okay.
So so I wasn't going to come back, but I there was some talk about it before the season, about just the football program being shut down. Just kind of hearsay, through the grapevine, but I was more so shocked that the other programs were shut down. I know Stillman College isn't a big fund school; it's a private school, so it doesn't get any state money. So I knew it was going to be tough, especially with I knew they were in debt as far as athletics go. I knew they were. So I didn't think they were going to do football, but we had heard. The players kind of heard about it a little bit, but the rest of the sports as well was a huge shock.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine. But all right, so it sounds as if it at least for the football program, it really wasn't a huge shock to you, though. At least
I'm not going to say it was surprising. It wasn't a huge shock just because we had kind of heard rumors about that it was going to shut down for a couple months, I would say.
Okay. Well, and I know, of course, you had originally planned on helping the Austin P football program turn things around over there, but they ended up making a change with their coaching staff, and here now you are at Southern Illinois with the Salukis. Now I know that you were wanted like a madman, but I mean, you had quite the interest from a ton of other schools. Can you just talk about, some of the visits that you went on and how they compared to your visit to Carbondale, Illinois?
Yeah, so I was, I was initially verbally committed to Austin P out of the OVC. I took another OVC visit. UT Martin offered me as well, and I liked it up there. It was a small town, about their football, and I just decided to go with Austin P. I took Arkansas Tech visit Division II, and I really, really liked Arkansas Tech. And that was ultimately, it was between, because after UT Martin, obviously I didn't commit there, so, my scholarship was gone there. And then Austin P, I was committed there, and then their coaches got fired. So these last ones, right after Christmas, I went on 3 visits. Arkansas Tech, Slippery Rock University, which is a really good D2 program out of Pennsylvania, and then SIU. I really liked SIU. I liked Carbondale. Some of the biggest things that attracted me, obviously, were the coaches. Coach Nick Hill, he's been here. He played. He's had a chance to play in the NFL. He was in camp with the Packers. He played professionally in an indoor league in an arena. And my QB coach here is John Van Dam. He played at Michigan State University as a QB under not Connor Cook. What's the guy's name who starts for the Redskins right now? I'm blanking.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. He played under Kirk Cousins, and he coached under Doug Nussmeier, who was the OC at Bama, then Michigan, and now was at Florida. So he's been helping like the assistant QB coach under him. So he's worked with a lot of good guys. He worked with McCarron, which is a big one. I was young in college when McCarron was a senior, so that's really what attracted me here. And obviously got a good football program and everything else, and it's in the best conference in my mind in the FCS as far as football goes.
Oh, and I would agree with you full-heartedly right there. I mean, the Missouri Valley is certainly probably the toughest. I mean, you got the 5-time defending national champs in there, and I think that says it all right there. North Dakota State, of course. And of course, I guess, speaking of coaching changes, you mentioned Nick Hill. The Salukis recently went through a coaching changes over there as well. Dale Lennon was let go after spending 8 years there in Carbondale, and Nick Hill, who you mentioned, is a former quarterback of the Salukis, had a few opportunities in the professional levels as well. Hill was actually there as a quarterback in the early to mid 2000s, and earlier this month, Southern Illinois did make it official. Nick Hill will take over as the Salukis' new head coach, and this is my next question. I mean, were you how much contact were you in with Nick Hill throughout this whole recruiting process? And I guess what was it that kind of wrapped things all up? I mean, was it just to kind of play in the toughest division in the FCS, moving up that level from Division II to FCS? Was that something that really struck you?
I mean, yeah, I think I've always felt like I could play Division I football. But I wouldn't necessarily say that was the main part. It wasn't really about the Division I. I mean, I've played Division II, and I've played Division I schools. There's obviously a gap there's a separation from Division II to Division I, but it's not as it's not like it's not super massive as it would be going from like the Division II or like the SEC or like the Big 12 or Pac-12, something like that. I did want to play in this conference, that's for sure, because I knew how competitive and I knew the kind of players that come out of it. And you see, Coach Hill didn't recruit me. Well, I mean, the other previous coach, and Coach Hill was the offensive coordinator here previously last year, but they didn't recruit me at all. So Coach Hill called me on Christmas Day. That was a couple days after he got hired, and told me, he really liked my film and he wanted me to bring me on a visit. And then when I came down here, they offered, and that was that. So.
Awesome. Sounds like a great Christmas present, that's for sure. Now, for those who may not be too familiar with your game, Josh, what should Salukis fans know about their newest quarterback on the roster?
I would say, as far as a player, I probably not many guys who love the game of football more than me, and probably not a lot of guys who are going to put more time and work into preparing and being the quarterback. Anywhere. I take pride in my work ethic. I mean, a lot of guys say that, but I truly, truly do. And I'm going to have fun, and it's an honor. Because I'm playing, it's a little bit bigger of a stage and everything, but I couldn't be more happy. A lot of guys, they go to FCS and they're kind of disappointed that they're playing FCS because they didn't get to an FBS school, but I'm just the opposite. I'm forever grateful, and I feel like I'm 1,000% blessed to be here. So.
And, of course, you'll be playing in, again, the toughest conference in all the FCS, in my opinion, in your opinion, in the Missouri Valley. Final question for you, Josh. I really do appreciate your time. And I know that you may not know many or really any of your teammates. I know that you said you're just out on the field throwing a few passes, though. But is it too early to ask, what are your expectations for your senior year? I mean, do you have anything in mind?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm going to work my butt off to eventually, to start here. I mean, that's the first goal, and I have other goals, personal goals in mind. And I think that this team is very capable of winning a lot of games next year. Just the guys that I've been around. I moved into Mark Ianotti's spot with one of the receivers. So he moved out, and I'm living in his old room, so it's kind of weird. It's kind of funny. And I talked to him, and he helped me out a lot. Mark did, as far as getting me in touch with some good dudes here. So I'm grateful for that as well. But yeah, definitely, my first goal is to win the starting spot. After that, we can talk about some other things. But that'd be my first goal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, totally makes sense. And you are heading into a quarterback competition, but obviously knowing about you for the last year or two, I gotta say, I think I like your chances to win that starting job. And like you said, this team is certainly capable of, this past season they went 3-8. They're certainly capable of winning more than 3 games in a season. I mean, so many games last year were determined by, 3-4 points, one possession games. I mean, there were so many games that were just decided by just a few, a handful of points. And, I think you're in a great spot. And I got to say, I'm really excited to see what you're going to be able to do down there in Carbondale at Southern Illinois with the Salukis. And, Josh, like I said, that's my final question for you. I really do appreciate you taking some time to chat tonight. And, again, I want to wish you all the best in Carbondale.
I appreciate it. No, thanks for having me. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity for speaking to you. I appreciate it. Thank you.